I think we are live finally. Sorry about that, everybody. I've had like 6 links created for this. Um, so I got my good friend Allan Ruhl. Al, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. It's always a pleasure. I can't remember the last time I've been on your channel, but happy to be back either way, brother.
It's always a fun time when you're on. It's always deep. What have you done? You've done on the Inquisition?
Yeah. We've done Fourth Crusade. We've done Inquisition. We've done some responses to Mr. Ubi Petrus, or Mr. Selin, as he's now called, now that he's gone public. And I think we've been on some, and were we on a stream together on Swan Sona's channel?
Maybe.
Because I remember it was me and Eric Ybarra and Swan Sona, and it may have been you as well. No. You were in the first episode that they did. You were supposed to be in the second, but you had to pull out. They had to find someone last minute, so they found me.
Okay.
So I had to fill in for you.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember that being on the show with you, like on Swan's channel, but
yeah, you canceled, and I guess I'm the alternate. I like being the alternate because I don't like being the main fighter.
Well, you're the main fighter today, so you this is going to be Allan's show. So sorry, I'm laughing at my friend James here. You all right? So he's going to be going over the Dictatus Papae because this has been a topic that irks me more than anything in the apologetical world, and it's like they so want this to be true so bad.
It irks me too, by the way, in case you just don't leave that out. But
yes, it should irk you. It should irk anyone who's in the apologetical world because they want, and when I say they, it's mostly the Eastern Orthodox or Eastern Ortho bros.
A few Protestants, but mainly the Ortho bros, Jay Dyer, Luigi, Trulia even fell for this, and his stuff is pretty good compared to the rest of them. But yeah. Sorry, yeah,
no, you're good. Just it's they bring this topic up to show that the papacy is this like power hungry type of papacy, that the Pope is power hungry and all he wants is power, and this is why the split happened. So it's almost like in the first 1054 years the Pope was first among equals. He was just this humble person who just didn't want to lord it over anyone, had no authority, equal to everybody. And then as soon as the clock struck midnight at 1054, boom, that Pope became power hungry. Yep, it's just the year 1054, January 1st, 1054, Pope became power hungry as soon as it struck midnight. And then he started writing the Dictatus Papae soon after that. What is it?
Well, I think you're wrong. The schism happened in July, not January 1st of 1054. So
there we go. Whatever the month is, or whatever the date is that happened, the excommunication, it's that midnight that struck that day, and it's like boom, like he just lost all grace, and he just became a dictator, power hungry. But before that, none of these Dictatus Papam claims that are made by the previous popes, apparently, right? But I'll let you be the expert on this, Allan. That this is your show, so go ahead and start.
Thank you, Elijah. Again, happy to be on. Hope we can do more of these. And this is a topic I really like. So yeah, now the Dictatus Papae is brought up by all of the top Eastern Orthodox apologists: Jay Dyer, Luigi, Trulia, all the rest of them. They all bring it up. It's in Trulia's, if you own Craig Trulia's, his papacy book, it's quoted in there at the end of it, because it goes chronologically in the 11th century, and he makes a big deal. But everyone makes a big deal about this document, and it is an absolute nothing burger. If you could look up nothing burger in the dictionary, it's going to have a picture of the Dictatus Papae. Because it just something that's so irrelevant. Now, what is the Dictatus Papae? It is Um, it's a document called Dictatus Papae, which means like papal dictation, and it's got 27 bullet points about the papacy, and a lot of these are absolutely ridiculous, and they're weirdly worded, and it's just so sketchy. And the number one thing you need to know is this document never left the Vatican. It was never bound on the conscience of any Catholic or anyone else. And we're going to prove all this. It's not like saying by the power of the keys on Matthew 16, all these things in the Dictatus Papae have to be believed going forward by every Catholic for the salvation of their soul. No, nothing like that. Now, and we're going to go through the content eventually. We're not going to go through it yet. I want to show, using primary sources of the 11th century and the early 12th century, that no one knew about this document. No one knew about this document at the times when it was written. And Divine Mercy Apologist says, so it's not even ordinary teaching. It's not any teaching. It was literally a paper that was found in the Vatican. And there are theories about what it is. I'll go through some of those theories later. But the point is, it was never promulgated. Now, there's some people that say, oh, even though it was never promulgated, it reflected what Gregory VII believed. We're going to tackle that a bit later. But I want to start out with the primary sources of the late 11th and early 12th century when the investiture controversy is going on. Because the way the Eastern Orthodox see the investiture controversy, this papal power grab, it's like, no, what the investiture controversy and the Gregorian reforms did, try saying that 5 times quickly, is 3 things. It enforced clerical celibacy, which had lapsed. It got rid of simony, or at least made simony illegal. And it abolished the investiture of laymen, specifically politicians. And the best example is Henry IV. If you know the investiture controversy at all, it was Gregory VII versus Henry IV. Now, in 1075, Pope Gregory VII is Pope. That's the year this document is supposedly written. Now, to prove, first we're going to prove that it was never promulgated. And how do we know it was never promulgated? And because it's not mentioned by any sources, including Pope Gregory himself, including the proponents of Gregory or the opponents of Gregory. There were people who resisted the reforms. Let's say something about that for a minute. If you talk to these online keyboard warriors, they'll say, well, people were resisting the reforms because they were Orthodox and they were trying to stop papalism from taking over. No, they needed reforms because there was a ton of corruption in the church. And when you have corruption, there's people who benefit from corruption. And if that corruption got cleaned up, they can't benefit it from it anymore. We're going to go through some of the all the primary sources. And I don't want it sound like I'm bragging, but not all I do, but I've read far more primary sources for the late 11th and early 12th century than any apologist on Catholic or Eastern Orthodox, and certainly Protestant for that matter, of all the people on YouTube. Because no one, first of all, most people don't read primary sources, and second of all, who studies the 11th century? Me only. In the both the in the West and in Byzantium at all, as well. Okay, so let's get to the first document I have. Is a biography of Pope Gregory VII. Now, Pope Gregory VII, I don't know offhand what year he was born, around 1020 probably, or around then, but he dies in 1085. So he dies in the late 11th century. Now, the 11th century, how many people, Elijah? Well, and so his biography was written by a guy named Paul of Bernreid. And he wrote The Life of Pope Gregory VII. Now, this biography in print in this book is over 100 pages. Not many people who lived in the 11th or 12th century have biographies that are over 100 pages in current print. That's very rare. Like I know one, Alexius Comnenus, who was the emperor who appealed to the Pope Urban for the crusade. I've got that biography over there actually on my table. But like apart from that, very few people. You can probably count them on one hand. Because back then, not a lot of people could read or write, and they couldn't find enough information to fill that. So Paul of Bernreid, biography, over 100 pages, mentions the Dictatus Papae 0 times. And the best part about this is he mentions things that Gregory wrote in this, because they're like, well, they didn't talk about his writing. No, they do talk about his writing. And it never mentions it once. It talks about how he wrote a letter to this bishop, to this secular lord. Yeah, over 100 pages long, not one mention of the Dictatus Papae. Imagine doing a biography of Dan Brown. I was talking with Elijah about Dan Brown. And you do a biography, and he's famous for his book, The Da Vinci Code, that never mentions the Da Vinci Code. Imagine doing writing a biography about Michael Jordan that doesn't bring up his basketball career. There's other things about Michael Jordan besides basketball, right? Like he's got a wife, and you know, he had he played baseball, right? You know, bring up the baseball career. But see, no, you will bring up everything about someone, especially the stuff that's important. And the Dictatus Papae that doesn't come up. Now, there are more chronicles in this volume here. You have a book by a guy named Benito of Sutri, where he gives a history of the whole investiture conflict. And guess how many times he brings up, and it's about 100 pages in print, a fairly long chronicle. Guess how many times he brings up the Dictatus Papae? 0. Oh, okay, starting to notice something. Now, it also has a thing here from a guy named Benzo of Alba, who was an opponent of the reforms. Again, you know, corrupt system, people benefit. Benzo of Alba was against the reforms. And they have, it's not his whole thing, it's part of it. And it's not there. An opponent of the reforms. Okay, so we're starting to do that. Now, next thing. Hold on. Okay. Next, we've got the correspondence of Gregory VII. This is Gregory VII, a collection of all his letters. All his, I don't think it's all of them, but it's a large collection of them. You know, where he's writing to various bishops, to various secular lords. And, you know, he talks about a lot of interesting stuff. And in 0 of these letters does he bring up the Dictatus Papae. This probably has 50 to 100 letters. They're not numbered. But 50 to 100 letters, and none of them reference the Dictatus Papae. It's not like, oh, yeah, you know, this is some interesting stuff you're talking about. You should go check out my document, the Dictatus Papae. It has this, that. No, there's none of that. None of that. So nothing from Pope Gregory VII or the people around Gregory VII, because you would think Pope Gregory VII and the people around him, like who wrote the biography, it's a favorable biography, would have mentioned the Dictatus Papae.
Now, if I can, I'm sorry to interject there, Allan. If I can just say something real quick.
Sure.
I get this question. You know, when we say that it's not magisterial, it has no weight, no authority whatsoever, right? When I throw that out into the world, the response I get is, well, that's not true. It is magisterial. They want it so bad to be magisterial. It has weight.
Well,
It has authoritative weight, right?
well, then how come no one's heard of it?
No one's heard of it, but how could somebody prove a negative? So if it's not magisterial, like if it's
We're
magisterial,
going to get to that. We're going to get to
go
that.
ahead.
I first want to go through all the sources of this era,
Okay. All right.
cross all my T's
I'll be patient because I'm holding my tongue. Go ahead, brother.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. We're good. I'm anticipating that objection. Now, here is something called Imperial Lives and Letters of the 11th Century, and it's got a biography of Henry IV. That was Gregory VII's opponent. So he probably hated the Dictatus Papae, right? And a bunch of letters to Pope Gregory VII because he had a fight with him, and a bunch of letters to other people who he's trying to say how bad Pope Gregory VII is. So, and guess how much times the Dictatus Papae is mentioned? I got the number right here. 0. All right, so that's good. Now, remember that what's his name? Henry IV was German, right? So here's some 11th century German chronicles, right? Let's there are I think 4 chronicles here. Herman of Reichenau chronicle, Berthold of Reichenau, and his chronicle exists in 2 versions, and Bernold of Saint Blasian. 4 chronicles about 11th century Germany, the investiture controversy, Gregory VII, Emperor Henry IV. Guess how many references to the Dictatus Papae? 0. Okay. All right. More 11th and 12th century sources. Chronicles of the Investiture Contest by Frutolf of Mickelsburg. Imagine having the name Frutolf. Hi, I'm Frutolf. Nice to meet you. I guess it was a popular name back then.
Next time you ask how many references, I'm just gonna do this right on the camera right there. Just
0. Yes. Okay. All right. There are 6 chronicles of here. There is Frutolf of Merseburg's chronicle, one continuation of it, an anonymous imperial chronicle, a chronicle of Eckhard of Ora, and another book by the same author, Eckhard of Ora, and an 1125 continuation of Frutolf's chronicle, all in the 11th and 12th century. You want to know how many times they bring up the Dictatus Papae? Elijah? Yeah, that number. All right. One last chronicle from that era. This is the Annals of Lampert of Hersfeld. It goes from about 1,000 to 1078. So Dictatus Papae 1075. It covers the Dictatus Papae time zone. And basically what it does is it has a year, and it writes down some information about the year that happened. Like this happened with the king, this happened with the now this should mention the Dictatus Papae, right? Okay, Elijah, I'm going to give you a multiple choice question.
Sure.
How many times does he bring up the Dictatus Papae? A, 1, B, 3, C, 4008, or D, 0?
0.
You're a smart guy, and you probably never even read this book, right?
No, not even the title. I can't even read the title.
Yeah, it's the Annals of Lampert of Hersfeld.
Well, there you go.
So 0. The Dictatus Papae is not brought up, and this is right from that period. Now, potential counter objection. But Allan, do you expect chronicles to bring everything up? Like, I keep a diary. I've been keeping a diary for 15 years. Say there's a popular best-selling book. Am I going to record it in my diary? Maybe if I read it. But there are So therefore they don't bring it up. First of all, those do bring up documents that were written. They bring up stuff even Gregory VII wrote in Paula Bernreid's Chronicle. But we're going to do a counterexample. In the 1400s, there was a heresy called conciliarism. I won't bother explaining what conciliarism is right now. Perhaps we could do another show. I've actually got a show or a 20-minute thing on my channel that talks about the rise and the fall of this movement. Regardless, from 1430 to 1461, if you want to be technical, the church was in a war between papal authority and the heresy of conciliarism. It was a big war. And in 1438, the King of France, he publishes a document, a very pro-conciliar document called the Pragmatic Sanction. The King of France, who was Charles VII, publishes a pro-conciliar document called the Pragmatic Sanction. Now, I got the memoirs of Piccolomini. Piccolomini eventually became Pius II. Now, he becomes Pope in the late 50s, but he's still alive during this whole controversy of conciliarism in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Now, does he bring up the Pragmatic Sanction in here? Multiple times he brings it out because it actually was an earth-shattering document. And let's see. I wrote down the pages. Just hold on a moment. 202.
You got to have those J. Dyer sticky notes on there, dude.
Yeah. I need like 1,000 notes, and like I need to write all over the pages too. And yeah, he likes doing that. So on page 202 of Pius II's memoirs, this is the appropriate place to explain what is meant by the Pragmatic Sanction and how it came to exist among the French. Some say it means a rescript of a prince. We more correctly call it sanction in regard for causes. Blah, 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 blah. He goes on talking about the Pragmatic Sanction and explains what it is. And page 233. Now, in 1461, when he is Pope, okay, wait, hold on. Okay. On page 223 of these memoirs, this is 1461. Now, King Charles VII, the guy who promulgated the Pragmatic Sanction, has passed away, and he's replaced by King Louis XI. King Louis XI. And there's controversy with him. The Pope is negotiating if he wants to trying to get him to repeal the Pragmatic Sanction and get France back within the mold of orthodoxy. And here's what it says. Meantime, a letter arrived from King Louis of France announcing the condemnation and complete abrogation of the Pragmatic Sanction. Oh, they're tough. And it brings it up a whole bunch of other times. I just want to highlight 2 points. So the point is, if there's an important document, it's going to be covered by the contemporary sources, documents, and chronicles. They're not going to miss it. Certainly not 6 of them. Like 6 of them. And each of these has like 3 or 4 chronicles in it, remember. So, in other words, it was never published. Okay. Oh, and one more thing. One more proof. How big a document this is. Now, you guys know there's an ecumenical council that's not talked about a lot. It's the Fifth Lateran Council, and it happened around the time of Martin Luther. And I am going to show the Fifth Lateran Council. it was kind of an attempted reform movement that didn't come to fruition. So Elijah, do you just want to put that on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the Fifth Lateran Council. All right, now if we go through this, now it condemned some, because technically they repealed the pragmatic sanction in in 1461, and at that point the conciliar movement was pretty much finished, but it hadn't been dogmatically condemned. So in this Fifth Lateran Council, they condemned conciliarism, and they mentioned the pragmatic sanction multiple times. This is session 4, 10th of December, 1512. The pragmatic is revoked, and the acts of the quasi-council of Pisa regarding the same are annulled. Before this, in the same session, there was also read out a warning against the pragmatic and its supporters. Let's go down a bit. Moreover, for considerable periods of time, has been great disparagement of the apostolic see in its head, the liberty and authority of the Holy Roman Universal Church, as well as a limitation of sacred canons by the number of prelates of the French nation and by noblemen and others supporting them, especially under pretext of a certain sanction they call the pragmatic. And then it talks about how it was promulgated on the 7th of July in 1438. That's the year he said. And it brings it up several other times. So, in other words, it was noticed. History noticed this. Both people at the time and people in the next century noticed the pragmatic sanction. Right? So, these documents aren't lost to history if they're actually actual documents that are published. But the Dictatus Papae is no such thing. You can take this off the screen. And please put up the document, the Dictatus Papae. In fact, hold on. Dictatus Papae. This absolutely ridiculous document. Okay. All right. I will okay. Stop screen. Okay. So present. Share screen. Okay. Okay. All right. Can you pop this on the screen? Okay. Here are the bullet points of the Dictatus Papae. Well, let's take a look at okay, because some people might say, okay, it was never published, but it reflected what Gregory VII believed. And by the way, the people that say this have never read his letters, like I have over there. They've never read his biography by Paula Bernary. They're just saying this because Jay Dyer says it. Okay, so let's go through this. Number one, the Roman Church was founded by God alone. What does that even mean? Like, the Roman Church, we say, was founded by Peter and Paul. Now, they were following God's orders. And what does God alone mean? It just weirded so weirdly.
Well, I mean, I think number one could be supported by the patristics if what it's saying is that it's a divine institution. The papacy is a divine institution, which
Oh yeah,
so
that's
many
for sure.
popes and church fathers talk about that. So that's probably what it's saying, and it's true.
You could say that statement's appropriate, but like, look at this. Look at number 8. He alone may use the imperial insignia. I mean, has this ever has a Catholic Church ever said it's like only the Pope can use the imperial insignia? Look at number 11. This is the only name in the world. Really? The Pope believes that the Pope's name is the only name in the world. Well, let's see. I've got all of his letters. So if he believes that it's the only name in the world, he shouldn't mention any other name. So let's open to a random page. Okay. Okay. All right. Perfect here. Okay, let's get some after 1075 because that's when the Dictatus Papae is written. Okay. To 1079, he's talking to the abbot of Cluny. Gregory to Hugo. That's a name. Hugo's an is Hugo a name there, Elijah?
Yeah, I think so. I can't do
Yeah,
this,
Hugo
but yeah.
to Hugo, the venerable abbot of Cluny. And then he goes and talks about a whole bunch of stuff. But why is he talking about Hugo? Oh, he made Berengar of Tours swear an oath. This is the heretic who denied transubstantiation. But he's using his name to Baron Wesselin, some guy in Croatia. He used his name, but it says in the Dictatus Papae that that's the only name in the world. And he clearly didn't believe that. Now, and we could go and find other things that they didn't believe. And there's now the Dictatus Papae, though, has some true things. Here, hold on. I'll what's the one I'm looking for? Okay. Take a look at number 22. The Roman Church has never erred, nor will it err to all eternity, Scripture bearing witness. That's true. That's right from Agatho's letter. And the Scripture he's talking about is Luke 22:32. He goes into great detail exegesis. I know someone like Craig Trulio will just say it's all honorifics, but it's not honorific. It's a detailed exegesis of that scripture. So yeah, there's true stuff in the Dictatus Papae. There's some weirdly worded stuff, and there's some stuff that Pope Gregory clearly didn't believe, and no one else has ever believed. Like we even looked at Gregory's letters. He's talking to Hugo, talking to Berengar, talking to that guy in Croatia. I can't remember his name, but he had a name. And so therefore, the Dictatus Papae has a lot of stuff that's not believed by any. The imperial insignia, no one has ever been required to do that. Therefore, Dictatus Papae is full of stuff Catholics have not believed and have never believed, including Gregory VII. Yes, you have a question.
Yeah. So what if someone were to say, and this may be what the document is getting at. So 10 and 11, his name alone shall be spoken in the churches. This is the only name in the world.
Yeah, his name alone is spoken in the churches. That means you couldn't even say the Nicene Creed.
Right. You can't even say Jesus. But what if, so like you said, there's some truth to this document, right?
Oh yeah. There's truth in the Quran. The Quran says Jesus Christ is the Messiah, born of the Virgin Mary.
Right. This is just exaggerated truth. Like I think what number 10 and 11 may be talking about, like at least 11 maybe, is jurisdiction. As far as like this is the only name in the world, like this is the only bishop in the church that has this universal jurisdiction. That's how I interpret it, but it's not clear. Just like the first one is poorly worded. The Roman Church was founded by God alone.
This stuff's extremely poorly worded, and I think I know. I've got a theory about what this document is. I've got a theory of what it is. It's only a theory, but so it's got stuff. It's got true stuff. It's got weirdly worded stuff. It's got stuff Catholics don't believe and have never believed or required to believe, including Pope Gregory VII. So my conclusion is the document is irrelevant. Absolutely 100% irrelevant to the discussion of papal authority. That's what I'm going to say. Now, I want to say a couple more things. This is a document, if you talk to these anonymous keyboard warriors that are still catechumens or became Orthodox like a month ago, they've all heard of this document. What they haven't heard of, because they obsess over this document, they don't there is one of his letters to Herman of Metz. This is the Bishop of Metz, which is in modern day France. It was probably part of the Holy Roman Empire back then. He names him, so that's more proof against the Dictatus Papae. But it's a 10-page letter, printed. It's 10 pages. And in this, he gives a very, tons of proofs for papal authority in this letter. He's trying to show, yes, I do have the authority, and here's why. And it's so intelligently written. It's 10 pages long, and no one studies this. It just shows he's an elite theologian who knows history. He's not some guy who's like, I want to grab a bunch of power. I'm going to write some document called the Dictatus Papae. No. He's very intelligent. And he writes this 10 pages long, printed. He makes some brilliant arguments in it. Now, he does quote the Samakian forgeries, which is unfortunate, but everyone thought they were genuine at the time. And he gives a ton of other evidence too. But this document and all of his letters shows how intelligent the man was in regards to papal authority, and not just some guy who wants to do a giant power grab and say, I'm going to do this. Because as we know, no one knew about that document. We don't even know if Gregory VII knew about it. But now, where do they get this from? There's a book in the Orthodox world that everyone loves, and they all love to quote this. I think this book is pitiful, and it's called The Christian East and the Rise of the Papacy by Papadakis and John Meyendorff. And it says Papadakis and John Meyendorff. It's all Papadakis. John Meyendorff only wrote 2 chapters on, because I don't think Papadakis knew anything about the Slavic Orthodox churches. He knew mainly the Greek, and so he puts that in. And this whole history is about 400 pages. And okay, we've gone through all of those primary sources, probably 15 chronicles there inside of those 6 volumes, tons of letters, and there were 0 references to the Dictatus Papae. Hold up the 0 again, Elijah. Yeah, 0. You can take the Dictatus Papae off the screen if you want. There. 0 references in all of these documents. In all of these documents. See, that's about 2,000 pages of primary sources. 0 mention of the Dictatus Papae. Not even 1 mention. Guess how many pages Papadakis talks about this?
Not 0.
No. Do you want to take a guess?
Oh, you actually want me to guess? 10.
12.
Oh, 12. Okay, close.
12 pages on an absolute irrelevant document. But because those online ortho bros don't read these primary sources, and they read this clown, they think, this was the magical document that everyone knew about and loved and all. And Pope Gregory VII was cheerleading it. But they do that because of this. In fact, if you read Craig Trullia's book, when he gets to the 11th, he's mostly primary sources. Until he gets to the 11th century, he talks about the Dictatus Papae. And guess who shows up in the footnotes or the endnotes? This freaking clown. And no, they all learn about it through here. Now, ironically, he does reference, I told you that 10-page thing where Pope Gregory VII explains why he has this authority. Yeah. 10 pages printed. He brings that up, actually, but he only brings it up once in 1 sentence in passing. But the Dictatus, he just yaps and yaps and yaps and yaps. So what is the Dictatus Papae? I heard an interesting theory by Catholic historian Thomas Madden. A theory. It's only a theory. And I thought it was interesting, so I'll share with you. He said, at that time, during the reforms, they were doing a ton of archival work. So someone probably wrote possibly Gregory VII, maybe a secretary or a scribe, wrote up a list of 27 bullet points and probably gave it to some archivist, say, here's 27 bullet points, see what you can find on this. That's probably what it was. But even if that's wrong, what we know is true is this document was never promulgated, and it's not bound on the soul of any Catholic or anyone else. And it has stuff that Catholics don't believe in and have never believed in, including Gregory VII. And so therefore, it should not be brought up in discussions of the papacy. That is my presentation. I'll take questions from you or the audience.
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, we did see, let me see, there was a super chat here. His Holiness Pope J. Dyer, the successor of St. Judas, the apostles, already pronounced Dictatus Papae as magisterial. We can't debate on it anymore. So let's touch up on that, because I know you did.
Boys, we're done.
I'm sorry?
Pack it in, boys, we're done. J. Dyer has overruled us.
Exactly. So,
by the way, you think J. Dyer has read all these sources that I've showed you?
No, I doubt it.
He's read this. He's read this garbage.
Right.
But he's never read any of those primary sources.
Right. So here's what I'd like to say to that. If somebody wants us to prove that it's not magisterial, okay. So I'll hold up any book. Shoot, I have this Dr. John Joy. Like, you guys can't see it because of whatever. It's a book, Disputed Questions on Papal Infallibility. John Joy. Great book. I can't prove a negative by saying that this is not magisterial. Like, I can't prove a negative. I can only prove a positive. Prove to me that something is magisterial. So the burden of proof is on the people that are claiming it's magisterial or it has weight. Because I can prove to you that the Immaculate Conception is the document that produced the Immaculate Conception ex cathedra in 1854 is magisterial, and it has the highest weight of authority, right? I can prove to you that the Assumption of Mary, that ex cathedra, that document, has the highest authority. I can prove that to you because it's there, it is positive. I can't prove a negative by saying that it's not magisterial. I mean, you did a great job, but for folks who want to press your buttons and say, well, you have to prove to me that it's not magisterial. I can't prove to you that the Chicago Bulls winning the championship in 1995 is not magisterial, because it's not. Like, it's I have to go dig all the documents in the Vatican, all of them.
They didn't win in 95.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's when it retired. That's why it's not magisterial.
In 96. In 96. They won in 96.
Okay, 96, yes. So it's proving a negative is ridiculous, right? So I can't prove a negative. It doesn't make any. So the burden of proof is on the person saying it's magisterial. So you claim it's magisterial, Ortho Bro. You prove to me that it's magisterial. Show me that it is. And then I can say amen to that. I'm wrong. Or you can't do it, then I'm right, right? But you can't ask me to prove that it's not magisterial, because there's no magisterial document that's going to say Dictatus Papae is not magisterial. Is that what you're trying to ask me for? Because that's not going to exist, right? That's the kind of point I wanted to make there.
And like for example, if you go read Vatican I, Pastor Aeternus, which you've probably read tons of times, there's no mention of this document. It brings up the statement of the papal legates in the Council of Ephesus. It brings up the Council of Florence and the section of the Pope and the Union Bull, and tons of stuff, but they don't mention the Dictatus Papae. I've got a question for you, Elijah. You've read like a lot of books that came out like after the council and stuff, like Fessler, and I'm sure you've read others. I've read a couple you've recommended, like Fessler, and Have any of them brought up the Dictatus Papae?
No,
Wow.
no. Neither has.
Wow.
Neither did. Neither did Gasser, Vatican I. Like, they didn't even talk about that document. It's not even relevant. It's
No
only
one talks
relevant.
about it except
No one.
online
No.
orthobros and
Exactly.
Papadoctors.
Right. And it's only relevant if you want so badly for the Catholic Church to be power hungry and not the true church. That's the only way. Like, that's where you're coming from if you're producing this document and saying, hey, look, the Catholic Church is, because if you watch the debate I did with Joseph Sweden, right?
Yeah.
If you watch that debate, you could tell, like, he really has nothing. He really wasn't. I don't know if how long he prepared for, but he, like, I kind of predicted his opening statement with my opening statement. I went first. I addressed his opening statement before he went, right? Why is the papacy necessary? So I feel like he just kind of said, okay, I got nothing. I'm just gonna, and I know he was planning on showing the Dictatus Papae, but he was kind of like, he had nothing, nowhere else to go. He was, oh, Dictatus Papae. It's like their safe place. Like, this is their base space. Dictatus Papae. What are you gonna say now? I got you there. Ha. First millennium, I'll let you have that. But Dictatus Papae, I got you there, Elijah. It's like I said, they just want it so badly to be true, and it's sad because I think Catholics are more on the side of, let's try to dialogue for unity purposes, whereas the other side, at least the ortho bros or whatever, like the ones that don't want unity, they don't want unity. They don't want the Catholic Church to be united to the Eastern Orthodox Church or true Orthodoxy or whatever you are. And so they will bring up these non-relevant talking points, nothing burgers, like the Dictatus Papae, to prove a point that doesn't prove anything. So, and then there's another question for you, by the way.
Allan's goat, like, what's my favorite flavor or favorite place?
Probably, like, what do you like to put on your pizza? Like, what toppings?
I don't eat a ton of pizza, but I like, the basic ones: pepperoni, ham and pineapple. I used to hate ham and pineapple as a kid, but it became an acquired taste, and it was now I quite enjoy it.
There you go. Ham and pineapple. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. James Stay and Hot Budweiser. Now, I do have another person asking a question, and I can answer this, but I can let you tackle it if you want. But this is kind of like,
I mean, a tiny bit off topic. I'll let you take that one.
yeah, it is. Now, I'm gonna wait for other questions. Whoever, type your questions for Allan on this topic. But I think this is a good question to answer. I won't take long to answer this. So I just want your guys' take on, how do you respond to the Eastern Orthodox claim that their 5 patriarch ecclesiology is closer to the first millennium church? So the 5 patriarch ecclesiology, it's not that it's false. It does exist in the first millennium, but it's false to think that that's the only ecclesiology that exists in the first millennium. And I'm not saying it's only next to another one and they're competing ecclesiologies. No, I'm not saying that. There is truth to this, but here's how Theodore Abukura talks about this. He talks about two situations, two ecclesiologies. He talks about the 5 patriarch ecclesiologies, the 5 heads, and when they agree on something, then we know that thing is infallible, because they can't all be wrong. The whole church, when they agrees on something, it can't be wrong. Just like the Immaculate Conception, when the Pope polled the bishops, they all said yes, amen, and then he decreed it. That's infallible because all the bishops believe it, and then he decrees it. Same thing with the Assumption of Mary. Same thing with the ecumenical councils that have unanimity and consensus, but like full-on consensus, like everybody's on board. That's what we all want, right? So this is the standard that we're all seeking in the church. Whenever there's controversies, we want everyone to be on the side of truth, right? Now, here's where this ecclesiology fails. In the early church, you have situations where you do have patriarchs that disagree with each other and splits between bishops, 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, what have you. Sometimes the majority is in the wrong side, right? That's where this 5 patriarch ecclesiology fails. And Theodore Abukura says, when that happens, we look to Rome, the Bishop of Rome, to settle the matter. So then the Bishop of Rome looks at the two sides and he sides with one or the other and says, this is where the truth is. And that's how we know that the truth exists there. Now, this is not just Theodore of Akura. This is a bunch of fathers that talk about writing to Rome to settle matters that have splits in the church. So 50-50, 60-40. When you don't have the five patriarchal ecclesiology all on one side, they're split. Then you look to Rome to settle the matter, right? And Gasser gives both examples. The five patriarchs, he doesn't call it five patriarchs. He calls it, like, basically says, like, all the bishops are on one side, the consent of the church, the consent of the bishops. And then he says when there is no consent in this, insofar as from the bishops, they're split, then the Pope has to settle the matter. I just wanted to answer that because that's a very good question. I hope that helps. Now, let me see if there are any questions for you. So let's see. And I like John Colorado. I like to put his stuff. It's while the papal temporal authority should have been defended, Dyer vastly overstates what we must believe about it. Yes.
Well, okay. I'll tell you where the source to go. And I've been promoting this book and everything written by him. It's over there. I don't want to grab it. But everyone read On the Roman Pontiff by St. Robert Bellarmine. It's my favorite book on the topic.
Yep.
It's got a whole section about the temporal authority. And what he says in a nutshell, go read it. Don't take my in a nutshell thing as ultimate truth. He says it was exercised at times, but it was not ever bound on the faithful. It was not bound. It was not a required belief. It did get exercised, but it was never a required belief. And St. Robert Bellarmine completely proves that. And
there you go.
Like the thing that Jay Dyer says, like when he talks with Unum Sanctum, he like rewords it. Like, go and read Unum Sanctum. It's actually very similar to what Pope Gregory VII says in his letter to Herman of Metz. But yeah.
Makes sense. Our good friend Divine Mercy Apologetics, great channel. Check out his channel. He says, on the MS folio, is there evidence of a signatory at all?
Like the folio? Oh, like the manuscript. Well, like there are pictures of the Dictatus Papae if you go like on YouTube. I don't even think his name is on it. Pope Gregory's name is on it. Now I don't know if that's the original or something, but no, I'm 99% sure his name's not even on it. In fact, I don't think it is. It just says Dictatus Papae, and then boom, the 27 points.
Just straight to the point.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I think there's a question here. Honest question. How would you respond to one who says that Dictatus Papae not being present in these sources, JS, an argument from silence? Is an argument from silence.
Well, that's why I gave the counterexample of the pragmatic sanction of 1438 to say, well, you wouldn't expect it to find in the councils. But if there's important documents, they will get picked up by the contemporary chroniclers and be referenced. It got referenced in the memoirs of Piccolomini, Pius II. By the way, there's some interesting historical stuff on him. And it got mentioned by an ecumenical council. Like, if things like happen, they're going to get recorded. And not every chronicle might have it, but you'd expect a few to have it. Like for example, if I only read one chronicle of all those, you can say, oh, you only read one source. No, there are tons of chronicles in there, tons of letters.
There you go.
So yeah, no, it's yeah. Now at that point, once you've shown them all this, say now where. Now, in all fairness, I haven't read everything from this period. If you can find me a chronicle from this period that brings up the Dictatus Papae, I'll reconsider my position.
Right.
But I think we know full well that it's not there.
Right.
How do you buy your milk, bagged or not? Well, I buy my milk from the farm, actually. It's I wonder if it's legal and if I should be saying this on there, but I have a source where I get my milk, my eggs, and my yogurt, and sometimes even cheese, although I think he overcharges for cheese, so I haven't been purchasing it lately, all from the farm. Like farm milk is heavenly. Farm yogurt is like you'll never want to have that crap from the store ever again. And eggs.
Well,
farm eggs, you can eat them. You don't got to eat them scrambled. You can eat them Rocky style. And if you want to know how Rocky Balboa eats his eggs, go type that into YouTube right now. And I do that all the time.
So what's funny is that you're the primary source guy. So you get your eggs and your milk straight from the farm, from the primary source. Like you don't go, there's no middleman. You're not reading secondaries. You're not going to the grocery store. That's secondary sources.
Yeah. Cut out the middleman.
That's very, very fitting. Yes.
Yes.
William wants to join. William Albert wants to join for a minute. Let me see if I can
put him on.
Let me see if I can send him the link. All right. So, okay.
In the meantime, is there any more questions?
I'm gonna see if there are any more questions, guys. Type of questions. By the way, the raw milk, the bagged milk question is an inside joke with Divine Mercy Apologetics. It's an inside joke, but I'm glad you answered it because I want folks to know that you're a primary source person. So that's good.
Primary sources wouldn't have it any other way. Now, like it's primary sources on stuff I care about. Like if I want to learn about Emperor Hirohito of Japan, I'll read a biography. I'll read a modern biography. Yeah, but the stuff I actually want to research, primary sources through and through, and even a lot that I don't research actually. Like I got a wait, hold on. I'm trying to find a book of mine. Okay, I can't find it, but I wanted to learn about the mutiny on the Bounty. So guess whose book I read? I read Captain Bligh's account itself that became a bestseller in the late 1700s.
Okay.
You can go and buy it. It's dirt cheap too. You can buy it for like $12 Canadian. And I did that. I also read the Red Baron's autobiography. So like a lot of times on stuff I don't care about, and I kind of care about those subjects actually, because like I don't talk about them on YouTube, but I care about them. I've got interests in history outside of church history. But if it's something I care about, primary sources.
There you go. And by the way, can you tell folks where they could find you? You have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I got a YouTube channel. Well, if you want to find me on X, it's just Allan Ruhl, and on YouTube, it's Allan Ruhl. It's Allan Ruhl everywhere. ALLAN space RUHL.
There you go. And we got the main man himself here.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? God bless you guys. How you guys doing? How you doing, brother? How you been, my friend?
The goat has entered the chat.
Amen.
No, not at all, brother. Thank you so much for the kind comments, brother. How you doing, my friend? How y'all doing?
Doing well. Blessed, man. How about you?
Well. Did you get a chance to hear the whole presentation?
I didn't. I've been incredibly busy. After my debate, I went and I got me some coffee. I got me a little bit of over here in Texas, very, very common to eat brisket over here. I had some brisket right now. So I've been very, very busy. But I heard you all were doing the show on the Dictatus Papae, right?
Yeah.
Okay, why did that? I'm just curious. I don't know the background. Is Jay Dyer at it again talking about it?
They're all talking about it. Well, the one episode that specifically prompted me to do this is when Elijah did his not too long ago. It was about 1 week ago. His debate with Father Sweden.
Okay, did Father Sweden bring that up?
Oh yeah. He beats that drum till the drum.
Brothers? I'm so sorry. What is your response been about the Dictatus Papae?
Oh boy,
I don't know.
He's baffled by this. You should be baffled by this. They think that it's a magisterial document. It has magisterial weight, and it's almost to the level of ex cathedra. So they bring it up to prove that the popes were power hungry, and that's why they did this whole schism. Like they're just power hungry popes, and yeah.
Y'all have pointed out that it's not even written by a pope, right?
Well, it's got no title. We don't know who wrote it.
And we don't know who wrote it.
wrote
So
it.
y'all have brought that up, and I'm just wondering why they keep hammering that home. I did a whole show on that document with Cameron Bertuzzi, refuting all of them. They had no response to it. Why? I'm wondering why they're still beating that dead horse over and over.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm baffled by it.
They, like I keep saying, they want this document so badly to be true.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is the level of scholarship they're working within. I was just curious, brothers. I wanted a little bit of clarification from you guys. I had no idea what level of argumentation they're working from, but I'm not shocked, guys. I'm not shocked at all now that I hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to also say you guys are both phenomenal. I love both of you guys, man. I'm going to head out now, but you guys are great. All right. Y'all take care, guys.
God bless you, brother.
God bless you both. Take care, brothers.
You too.
Bye.
Love William. As hilarious, like his bafflement is just so telling. He's like, why are they still bringing this up? Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see.
There are two kinds of people who you debate with. Yeah. Ones who just want to score points.
Yeah.
And ones who actually want to learn. And the ones who want to learn are so rare.
Yeah.
But the ones that want to score the points, like I went back and forth with one of Jay Dyer's Anon folks, and he's like, "Oh no, this gave him temporal authority," which it's like, well, it wasn't even promulgated. Yes, it was, temporal authority, and he wouldn't shut up about temporal authority, and then he blocked me eventually because I didn't want to talk about temporal authority, which my post wasn't even about. Oh man. So.
Yeah. They really try to imitate Jay Dyer in so many things, including blocking people. It's very hard to get me to block somebody. Like, you got to be super annoying. Like, I think I blocked like 3 or 4 people on Twitter or X, whatever. He blocks like 4 or 5 people an hour. Like, he's just block happy. He's just always blocking people, Jay Dyer. And so his minions, the Dyerites, the diarrheas, they are blocking people just to imitate Jay Dyer. That's how he acts. That's how they're gonna act. And the same arguments he makes, they make. The same name calling he gives to people, they do the same thing. It's like people say it's a cult. I say that as a literal sense. It's a cult. This Jay Dyerite. It's a cult. Like they look up to him as if he's a saint in their church. And it's just disgusting. Like, do you have saints in your church you can look up to? You have beautiful saints. It's beautiful. Like, there are some really amazing Eastern Orthodox saints out there. That's who you should be imitating, right? You shouldn't be imitating this guy online who is a man-child. He's emotional. He can't control his emotions just because he's done this for a long time. He doesn't have patience anymore for people. I'm sorry. Just because you've done this for 20 years or whatever doesn't mean you lose patience for the person that you're talking to today, right? That doesn't make sense. And they defend that. Oh, he's been doing this for so long. He has a right to be impatient. What? You have a right to be impatient. It's a virtue. Patience is a virtue. You have a right to break the virtue. That's what you're saying. You at least work on it. At least say I struggle with that. Don't try to say I have a right to it, right? I don't see any more questions. I did see a question that was unrelated. And by the way, what you said about you're either trying to score points or you're sincerely learning. That's what I see. That what I see is like you're either trying to trap your opponent into a corner to win an argument, or you're asking a question to try to see out of curiosity what the answer is.
Yeah, and like I think the textbook example of this is when Lofton and Eric Ybarra were doing their stream on the Council of Nicaea, Canon 6. Yeah. And then Jay Dyer wanted to come in and like debate the papacy. He's like, why aren't you talking about Mortalium Animos? It's like, well, because the stream was on Canon 6 of Nicaea.
Right.
But this refutes the papacy. Like, the guy doesn't want to learn. He just wants to score points. And he's got a big following. He can make a living on this stuff. But if you take a look at Jay Dyer, very little of his anti-Catholic stuff is actually arguments. Yeah. It's all mockery. It's right. Like, oh, your Pope prayed in a mosque. And, you know, I'm not happy that happened. Right. But that doesn't Like that's not an argument. That's mockery.
Let's talk about that real quick, because I do want to address that real quick, because there's a lot of folks watching right now, so I do want to address that. So when we bring up things that their patriarchs did, praying with non-Orthodox people, right, which is a no-no in their church, saying that we worship the same God as Muslims, that's from their patriarchs, right, or bishops.
Yeah. Well, that's from their official teachings.
So
which
they
the
say it's not.
patriarchs are obviously following, because they're
Yeah.
Orthodox patriarchs, so they're going to follow it.
Now, they say it's not our official teaching. Let's grant them that just for the sake of the argument, because
Okay.
I do want to make a point here. When we bring up patriarchs and things that they've done or said, these guys have never been condemned for heresy for what they've said, but the people online are judging them, saying it's a heretic, it's a heresy, and we don't follow the patriarch the way you follow the Pope. So that therefore it doesn't falsify our church. So they say, because there's no official teaching on this, and there's a patriarch saying XYZ and it doesn't agree with the Orthodox teaching, then it doesn't falsify the Eastern Orthodox, because our official position is things that happen in a synod, like in a pan-Orthodox synod or an ecumenical council. That's when we're speaking authoritatively. So when you point to a patriarch, it doesn't falsify our church, because it's not somebody that's speaking on behalf of the church. Okay, let's give you that. Let's grant that for them. Okay, for 1 second. Now, here's what I would say as Catholics: when when a pope does something and they point out with the pope, like praying with in a mosque or kissing the Quran, when the popes are doing things like this, that does not fall under infallibility either. So just like they would say it doesn't falsify their church for the things that these patriarchs are doing, I could say the same thing for these things that popes can do, because we don't think the pope is infallible or impeccable in everything he does. So therefore, if you're going to claim that on your side, then hey, I can claim the same thing on my side, because Vatican I did not say the pope is infallible when he enters a building and prays with somebody, or he kisses the Quran, or whatever, or even things that he's teaching that are not in the level of infallibility.
But it's shock value linked to mockery.
Yes.
And I want to say, I've got a good example. First, I want to say Divine Mercy Apologetics, thank you for those very kind words, and God bless you. You've got an awesome channel yourself. Now, like I was talking with a Catholic who had converted to Eastern Orthodoxy. A Catholic or Protestant? I can't remember. A convert to Eastern Orthodoxy. And they said, oh, well, what about the death penalty? How can you guys say that about the death penalty? And I'm like, what specific jurisdiction of Eastern Orthodox are you? He's like, oh, I'm OCA. And I'm like, well, they had a synod that condemned the death penalty. And then it's like, oh, that's not how Orthodoxy works. Well, first of all, he hadn't heard of the synod. It's like, oh, that's not how Orthodoxy works. And then I'm like, well, it's like, that's not an infallible document. And I'm like, neither is ours an infallible document. He said something that, like, I find this whole thing controversial. Like, it's off topic, but I think it's controversial. But it is yet to be settled. But he has not made an infallible declaration. In fact, Francis, the person who's doing all the stuff with the death penalty, has said he didn't plan on speaking infallible in his papacy, and he didn't. He's never said that. And Pope Leo hasn't said anything either. Yeah, he said he's against the death penalty. He said it in an interview with people outside of the Vatican. Like, is that like how the Immaculate Conception came? No, that was
right.
an interview outside of the Vatican.
Right.
So,
And it's funny because, okay, there's a whole synod that came together and condemned the death penalty, right? And this online person says, oh, that's not how Orthodoxy works. So how does Orthodoxy work? Is an online person can look at a synod that was held by a bunch of Orthodox bishops, Eastern Orthodox bishops, and then look at them and say, you guys are all wrong. I'm the one who knows better than y'all. Is that how Eastern Orthodoxy work?
Yeah, the online anon, very recent converts is the ultimate authority over things.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Tactically, the Orthobros want to confront us about Vatican II issues, but we should be confronting them about the original issues. Yes, I've been beating this drum. We should bring them about the Azymes. They're embarrassed about the Azymes, but if you read the primary sources, which I encourage everyone to do, in fact, in one of the sources I quoted today, it says it's got the biography of Pope Gregory VII in here. It also has a biography of Pope Leo IX, and they give a written account of what happened in Constantinople that caused the schism.
Yeah.
And they talk about the books that they're talking about Azymes and the beards and the fasting on Saturday. That's all it's about. It's nothing to do with the Pope or the Filioque.
Right.
I know scholarship might reject that, but scholarship's only as good as the documents that can back it up.
Right.
The primary sources that can back it up. I know. I watched a stream recently from Trulia, and traditionally he's been more of a primary source guy, but he's quoting a lot of scholarship, and he touched on that. He's like, well, scholarship says it was the papacy and the Filioque that caused the schism. Well, the primary sources don't say that.
Right.
Can you put that back on? There's something else I want to say with the John Cullen. He says they want to confront us about Vatican II. You notice how they don't. They just say Vatican II. They don't study the documents at all. Like in the debate with Jay Dyer and Ibarra, he kept saying Vatican II contradicts Mortalium Animos, and because it says you can't do pan-religious prayers. And popes have done that. I concede popes have done that, but Vatican II never says you're allowed to do it. And I think that's a big difference. It's a big deal that popes have done that. That should be condemned eventually, and I hope it will soon. But Vatican II doesn't say you're allowed to do it. I think the closest it comes is you can pray with someone who's a separated brethren who's converting. So like a Protestant or an Orthodox who's currently in RCIA. And yeah, I have no problem praying with those people because we believe in the same thing. They're just technically, until they convert, there's technically still a separated brethren. And that's all Vatican II says. But Jay Dyer and all those Orthodox don't want to debate Vatican II specifically. One time, I saw a spat on X with Christian Wagner and Luigi, and then it's like, oh, you should debate Vatican II with Jay Dyer, and then he's like, okay, what topic of Vatican II? It covers a lot. It's like, well, just Vatican II. It's like what? Religious liberty, the Mass, Lumen Gentium's view on Mary. Like, there's tons in Vatican II. It's like, pick one, because he just wants to throw out a bunch of sound bites. A bunch of sound bites. That's all he wants to do. He doesn't want to exegete the text of Vatican II.
Right.
And I think overall, as someone, like, I attend a Latin Mass, but it's Fraternity of St. Peter, fully in the church. Okay. Okay, Allan is correct, though. Theophylact around 1100 said that the Filioque was the main issue. Peter of Antioch was concerned about the Filioque. The Filioque became an issue after the schism. The schism happened because of Azymes, but quickly after, the Filioque became an issue. Now, the Filioque was brought up in the 1054 things, but it was like a cosmetic issue, equivalent to like a bishops wearing a ring or priests shaving their. I don't even think it was as high as priests shaving the beard, but like it was just in a list of stuff. It was not the main issue. Main issue was the Azymes, which unfortunately their apologists don't want to talk about anymore.
Right. And so you brought up something about praying with non-Catholics, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Their patriarchs do the same thing.
Yeah, but again, it's like, oh, that's not a falsifier for our system. Well, it's not a falsifier for our system either.
Well,
yes, it's a sin. They sinned. The Pope sinned. The patriarch sinned by doing that. But
okay, but that doesn't work because there's no one standing up and saying you can't do that, and you are excommunicated from the church. There's nobody saying that. It's only the ortho bros online that are judging these patriarchs. You got these bishops or other patriarchs. They're not stepping in and saying, hey, you can't do that. And even if they are thinking that, I don't see anybody contradicting that prayer to prayer with non-Orthodox people. So even if you're going to say it's non-falsified, it's not something that falsifies our church, that doesn't matter. Like, it's not even what we're talking about. Why isn't anyone excommunicating this person who's doing it, who's a patriarch, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, no, that's a sad issue. There's one guy said they have a monastery in Russia where they pray with the Muslims and the Buddhists. That's something else too. These 90%, if not more, of all these converts have not ever been to an Orthodox country, so they don't even know what authentic Eastern Orthodoxy is on the ground. They live in this fantasy world. In fact, Jay Dyer is so clueless. He had on Andrew Tate's brother, who had converted to the Orthodox Church because he was living in Romania.
Right.
And Jay Dyer, he didn't even know what Transylvania was. Transylvania is a region in modern Romania. It's where the Carpathian Mountains are.
Right.
Yeah.
Filioque, what if they? Let me just read it for folks who are just listening. So, regarding Filioque, what if they cite Photius as providence leading up to the schism of 1054, like Chichinsky's in his most horrible book?
Well, Photius didn't cause the schism, now did it? There was a brief schism, but like it was patched up. But in 1054, find me the stuff from 1054. Here, I'm gonna okay, page 146. All right, we're gonna get some primary source stuff. Okay. Okay. At the time, it's page 146 of this book. At the time there arose the heresy of fermentase, which poured scorn on the Holy Roman See, or rather the whole Latin and Western Church, for offering a living sacrifice to God in unleavened bread. The bishops Michael of Constantinople and Leo of Achrida set down this slander in written form, willfully breathing out pestilential vapors against the Holy Apostolic faith. Their slander, composed in Greek, was sent to the Bishop John of Trani as that's Trani, as an affront to all the Latins. In Trani, it was shown to Brother Humbert, the Bishop of the Holy Church of Silva Candida, through whose effort it was translated into Latin and brought to the Lord Pope Leo IX. The renowned Pope then composed a very lucid little book to counter their presumptuous changes and excessive vanities. He attempted to lead them back to the way of truth, but as they subsequently did not accept correction, he also condemned them with ecclesiastical anathema. Brother Humbert also composed a reply to their rotten writings in the form of a dialogue between a citizen of Constantinople and a citizen of Rome, which he wrote in Latin at the time of his legation to Constantinople, and which was translated into Greek by the command of the religious Orthodox Emperor Constantine Monomachus in the year 1054. Lord Frederick, then Chancellor and later elected by God to the Roman and Apostolic See, also wrote a polemical reply to certain objections published by Dictatus, monk in Constantinople, also known as Pectoratus, against the Latin Church, in a book entitled the book by this Greek monk concerning unleavened bread, the Sabbath, and the marriage of priests. That's the name of the book. The polemic was translated into Greek and read out in public in the presence of the emperor, and Dictatus was compelled to condemn and burn the writings after a disputation held in the monastery of Studion in the city of Constantinople. The renowned pope had indeed sent I could go on, but I think you get
Right.
you get the whole idea. Wait, hold on. I'm going to read a tiny bit more. The renowned pope had indeed sent to Constantinople legates of the Holy Roman See, namely the aforesaid Humbert, Archbishop Peter of Amalfi, and Frederick at the time he was deacon and chancellor. Dictatus received from them a complete answer to his propositions. Once again, of his own accord, he anathematized all he had said. So the Greek monk who's leading this charge condemned his own position. Once again, of his own accord, he anathematized all he had said and done or attempted to do against the primary and apostolic see. He was received by them into communion and became their intimate friend. Since Michael, Archbishop of Constantinople, however, avoided their presence and would not hold no talks with them, preserving in his folly, the envoys of the Lord Pope went to the Church of St. Sophia and complained of his obstinacy. When the clergy had prepared for Mass in the customary manner on Saturday at the 3rd hour, they placed a document of excommunication on the main altar before the eyes of the clergy and the people. They departed immediately, shaking the dust from their feet as a testimony against them according to the words of the gospel, and they declared, God look upon you and judge. They then put in order the churches of Latins of Constantinople and pronounced an anathema on all who thereafter received communion from the hands of a Greek who disparaged the Roman rite. A Greek who disparaged the Roman rite, not all Greeks. With the leave of the Orthodox emperor, from whom they received the kiss of peace, they gladly returned, bringing the gifts that the emperor had conferred on St. Peter and on themselves. The emperor was furious with Michael for having refused to come to a council held in his presence, and that of the envoys the Lord Pope, and indeed for having incited the people to rise up against him. He deprived Michael's friends and associates of their honors, turned them out of the palace, and never abated the severity of his anger against him. Now,
Primary sources, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't doubt that the Filioque may have been thrown in with like 10 or 20 other things, but the point is the main issues were those the azymes, the fasting on Saturday, and in that case the marriage of priests. And you don't need to take our word for it. You can go to their Go J. Dyer's channel, the 10 reasons I'm not Catholic. You don't see azymes there. You don't see azymes. You say, oh yeah, the Pope's controlled by the CIA or whatever. Nothing to do with azymes. Yeah. So yeah, well, he promotes Protestant books against the papacy by Papalism by Denny, right?
Yep.
That's quoted in Trulia's book too.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. See if there's any more final questions. And Allan, this was a phenomenal presentation. Now, anyone who brings up the Dictatus Papae, I'm just going to copy this link and paste it to them. Not going to say anything. And I know they're not going to watch it. I know they're not, but for whoever is curious for reading the comment, those people are going to watch it, right? But most of those who bring up the Dictatus Papae are bad faith actors.
Yep.
Most of them are, from what I've seen, right? But there are people that are reading these arguments who are not bad faith actors, who are going to benefit from this show. So thank you for doing this, Allan.
Yeah, there are some who want to learn, and the ones who want to learn, you can contact me anytime on X, or on Facebook, Allan Ruhl. I think I'm the only Allan Ruhl on Facebook, or X for that matter. But that's all my social media. Allan Ruhl. Go find me. If you want to learn, if you're serious about learning and you just don't want to score points, I'm your man. I can help you out. I can guide you to the primary sources, just like I'm doing with a lot of people now behind the scenes. Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you, Allan. And thanks for everyone that watched, commented for the super chats. This was a fun show. It's always fun when you come on, especially when you present something like this. That's a big deal for no reason. It makes it really fun to engage. Any final thoughts? Where can people find you? All that fun stuff.
They can find me at Allan Ruhl on Facebook, on X, on YouTube. I got a ton of videos, mostly about medieval stuff. I've been thinking of doing a response. I think you saw that thing with Dr. Ortland, Jordan Cooper, and Michael Horton. Like that clip of theirs. I watched the whole thing. It's about 30 or 40 minutes. It's sad how little those people know. And again, it's because they don't read the primary sources. Like,
absolutely,
they don't know anything about what conciliarism is. They'll say, "Oh, the belief that a council's above in terms of is above a pope." That's all they'll say, and that's technically true. But there's so much more to it than that. That's so. They don't even know what I guarantee you, if you have a chance, go and ask one of them. Are you familiar with the Pragmatic Sanction? That's the document that the King of France promulgated in 1438. Yeah. Just ask them if they've heard of that. No, they haven't. They've never heard of it. You can go online to read it. They may have heard of the Synod of Basel or the Council of Basel, because the Pragmatic Sanction says to be getting ideas from what's coming out of the Council of Basel. But I can guarantee you, they never heard the Pragmatic Sanction. They don't know anything about conciliarism. They know a lot about Martin Luther and Philip Melanchthon, right? And all this stuff. But those people, they don't read primary sources. Certainly not for the time of around the schism from the 11th century till right before the Reformation, like the Fifth Lateran, which condemns the Pragmatic Sanction, and like these people are. Yeah, so I've been thinking of going over that, but I might need to go over that with someone. Elijah, if you'd be up for that.
Yeah. You're welcome. This is your channel, brother. You're welcome on my channel. We just got to find the time to do it. So especially when you bring the content, I sit back and I'm a student learning. So I love those. These are my favorite types of shows where I don't have to produce the content, because number one, I don't have to do the work, research, and I can learn. So I'm all for that. I just want to mention to folks on Tuesday on Divine Mercy, Chaplet, Divine Mercy Apologetics, Brother James's channel, we are doing a part 2 of our papacy show. We did one last Tuesday, and we're going to do one this Tuesday on the papacy, and just some debates that I have coming up on December 9. I'm debating the other Paul. December 19th, I'm debating Alex Soren, who's an Eastern Orthodox lawyer. He's a lawyer, so he's not an Eastern Orthodox lawyer, but he's an Eastern Orthodox who's a lawyer, or he's a lawyer who's an Eastern Orthodox, however you want to word it. It'll be both debates on the papacy. And yeah, that's what I have. And then I'll be doing other shows on my channel here and there once I find time. But I do want to spend the rest of my time in the next few weeks preparing for these debates. But again, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Ruhl, for doing the presentation. It was phenomenal. I love that I have a link now. Like I said, I can copy and paste. And we'll be doing more of these. we'll be doing more of these types of things where we're answering questions that are coming up on the online apologetic sphere, like the Pope Gregory the Great Universal Bishop, or the Pope Gregory the Great Three Heads, Rome, Antioch, Alexandria. Go ahead,
I've got some good stuff for that if you want to.
I can bring you on for that, because I'm planning on doing a response. We've already done one with Wesley Chambers, but I'll bring you on and we can do both at the same time and do 2 for 1 for that.
I've got I talked about this on Swan Sona's channel. I have post-schism popes who talk about the 3 Petrine sees. So it's moot. If it goes post-schism, it's moot.
Yeah.
Pope Innocent III, this is like the zenith of papal claims.
Right.
He talks about that. Whoops.
Yeah. So we'll do the show on that, because if you have something in the second millennium that are saying the same thing, then like you said, it's a moot point. But it's a moot point even if you don't have that, because they completely misunderstand him, thinking that he's ruling, Allan ruling, or he's the head, sharing that headship with 2 other patriarchs. One in his other writings, he clearly believes that he is the head, as a universal head, not a universal bishop that replaces all the bishops in all the dioceses. That's what he's going against. But he does have a responsibility of governing the church in both East and West. So, and let me see here. Bring Ruhl to my show. I'm working on 2, Elijah, if you'd like. I'll tell you about that in the background.
Ooh,
Would love
sweet.
to have you on that. Yeah, would love to have you there. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. God bless y'all, and you guys all have a wonderful night.
And Jesus is king.
Amen.